They saw someone sneaking up behind her, but before they could react, the masked figure lunged at the screaming girl, and then the screen went black. Chat rooms are often seen as places for fun, curiosity, and connecting with strangers. But as stories like this one reveal, they can also harbor terrifying dangers, from creepy messages to real-life stalking. These digital spaces hold nightmares that aren't always confined to the screen. How do we safeguard ourselves in a world where anonymity and danger collide? In the early 2010s, two 14-year-old boys, Peter and his friend, were exploring the popular video chat platform Chatroulette. They were up to their usual antics, teasing people online for laughs, when they came across an older girl sitting in a dimly lit room with a faint blue light. The boys, full of youthful mischief, started teasing her, but then Peter noticed something strange. He said there was someone behind her. Initially, they both thought he was joking, but as they watched closer, a figure emerged from the darkness behind her. The boys tried to warn the girl, but she didn't take them seriously at first. However, when she finally looked back, reality set in, and she was met with the terrifying sight of an intruder wearing a black mask. The masked man lunged at her, and chaos erupted as she tried to fend him off, kicking and screaming. The intruder, visibly agitated, briefly glanced at the webcam before the screen went black. The boys sat in stunned silence, unsure if it was a twisted prank or a real attack. A few days later, they saw the news of a murdered girl fitting the same description and went to the police, haunted by the idea that they had witnessed a sinister crime unfold in real life. In the mysterious depths of the deep web, a curious teenager's interest gets the best of him. He installs the Tor browser and dives into the dark web, eager to see what lies beyond the usual internet. After browsing through countless links, he stumbles upon a chat room where he meets a user who posts a cryptic link without any explanation. Driven by curiosity, he clicks on it, only to be led to a dark website. To his horror, the page is filled with a series of disturbing photos featuring his name and images of his own face, freshly captured through his webcam. As panic sets in, he realizes he is being watched in real time. His attempts to shut down the browser are in vain as the hacker continues to post more images, frame by frame, showing his terrified expressions. Desperately, he presses the power button, forcing the laptop to finally shut down. In a state of shock and fear, he covers his webcam, deletes the Tor browser, and swears never to venture into the dark web again. Two 12-year-old boys, Carl and his friend, were engrossed in a chat session using PictoChat, a local communication feature in a Nintendo DS. Sitting on a bench in their neighborhood, they sent each other funny messages, enjoying the warm summer evening. Their laughter was interrupted by the entrance of a stranger named Joe into their chat. The boys exchanged puzzled looks and began asking Joe questions. His cryptic responses revealed he was watching them and knew they frequented the area. This sent chills down their spines as they frantically looked around. After another ominous message, Joe sent a blurry image that only added to their confusion. Their curiosity turned into fear when a low chuckle from behind the bench made them jump. They turned to see a man rising from the bushes, towering over them with a wide, unsettling grin. The boys screamed, broke free from his grip, and fled on their bikes, pedaling as fast as they could away from the stranger, never to return to that spot again. One winter night, two boys, Luke and his friend, were hanging out in Luke's unfinished basement, exploring the chat site Omegle. They randomly clicked through various chat rooms until they entered a black screen. Curious, they waited, then noticed a suspicious link shared in the chat. Clicking on it led them to a disturbing live feed showing the front yard of Luke's house. The boys stared, bewildered and scared, as the camera feed moved closer, revealing a live stream of their backyard. Panic gripped them as they saw a hand reach for a hidden key beneath the flower pot. Realizing they were in danger, the boys raced up the basement stairs, locking the door behind them and plunging into darkness. They heard footsteps and the back door creaking open, followed by heavy steps on the stairs, but the locked door prevented the intruder from entering the basement. They huddled in fear until they heard the footsteps fade, and finally, after what felt like an eternity, they bolted for the phone to call police. The officers found no sign of the intruder, leaving the boys traumatized and fearful of random chat sites forever. In the 2010s, a 16-year-old boy was drawn to a local chat room where he met Julie, a girl whose friendly demeanor and shared interests quickly captivated him. They exchanged messages and photos, and he became infatuated, eager to meet her in person. One night, she invited him to her rural farmhouse, giving him detailed directions. Although it was a long drive, he was excited about the date and eagerly made the journey. However, upon his arrival, instead of Julie, he was greeted by an unfamiliar man who claimed to be her father, but looked way too young to be that. He offered an excuse about Julie being at work and insisted she would be back soon. As they talked, the boy noticed shadows moving outside, and panic set in as he realized he had been lured into a trap. Before he could react, the man lunged at him, but the boy was quicker. He bolted out of the house, narrowly avoiding a spike strip placed to stop his car. Gun in engine, he sped away from the farmhouse as three shadowy figures chased after him. Back home, he received one last chilling message from Julie. "Where did you go? Come back," driving home the terrifying reality that he was nearly ambushed. A college student living in a dormitory became friends with Chris, an online acquaintance who claimed to be studying IT. After learning about some technical issues with the student's computer, Chris offered to help. He provided a link to a remote access tool that allowed him to fix the computer's problems. After a brief tutorial, the student watched as Chris took control, moving the cursor and opening files. Satisfied with the fix, the student thanked Chris and went to bed, not suspecting anything amiss. A few hours later, he was startled awake by the glow of his laptop screen illuminating his room. The computer had turned itself on. Confused, he tried to move the mouse, but found it unresponsive. Suddenly, an image appeared on the screen, a photo of his room taken just moments before, using his own webcam. The student panicked as more images followed, each showing his horrified face. The cursor moved by itself to click a video file that revealed yet another shocking image, the outside of his dorm building. Realizing he was being watched in real time, he forcefully shut down the laptop. The next morning, he packed his belongings and moved into a hotel, terrified of being stalked by someone who knew exactly where he lived. He never used that laptop again, burning it out of fear, and never heard from Chris again. In the anonymous world of online chat rooms, it is easy to connect with people who seem like good friends. This was the case for a young man who struck up a friendship with another user, known only by a username. They spent hours chatting about life, hobbies, and interests. At first, it felt like any other friendship, the kind that starts off with shared jokes and inside references. But as time went on, the conversations took an unsettling turn. His online friend began dropping bits of personal information about the young man, details that were never shared in their chats. It started with comments about his daily routine and favorite places to hang. Then, they mentioned his favorite foods and even the street where he lived. The young man began to feel uneasy, realizing that this person knew far too much about him, information that could only be gathered by somebody physically nearby. Alarmed, he cut off communication immediately, changed his online profiles, and deleted the chat app, hoping to sever any connection to his anonymous friend who had been lurking far too close for comfort. In the era of online forums, a teenager learned the hard way about the dangers of oversharing personal information. The teenager regularly posted in various online communities, engaging with people about hobbies and interests. Over time, they became comfortable sharing more about themselves, including personal details that should have been kept private. Not long after, they noticed suspicious activity on their social media accounts. They were locked out of their profiles, and soon enough, personal photos and private messages were being circulated on the dark web. Panic set in as they realized their accounts had been hacked and their identity had been stolen. The teenager scrambled to secure what was left, reaching out to platforms for help and alerting friends and family of the breach. This experience highlights the importance of online privacy, underscoring how a few careless disclosures can lead to a cascade of consequences, all from a faceless identity thief lurking behind the anonymity of the internet. So, what are your thoughts of these stories? Let us know in the comments below.